Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson, here on the Maroon edition of the Yard. Told you guys we would get together after camp. It's been I can't say it's been an incredibly hot week, but for those of us that haven't really acclimated, it's been hot. But I'll tell you, by Mississippi standards, it's been pretty good. I mean, it really has been. I know that there are some people out there that may disagree, but as far as like covering camps, hadn't been so bad. We had some OLDL stuff today, some 7-on-7 stuff, and I went out and watched the kids throw the ball around. That's what I enjoyed doing. We're going to talk a little bit about that today on the show, talk about what's next. We've got some official visits lined up for this weekend, and that list is kind of ever evolving. It's going to be about a dozen kids or more, and we'll have full recaps on Sunday of the visits. And so, a lot going on. You say, well, Steve, hey, we just kind of wrapped up baseball. And it's like all of a sudden we're right in the heart of big-time recruiting. And I do expect there to be a couple of commitments this weekend or potentially this weekend or shortly thereafter. But with these June visits, it's a much different dynamic. As a lot of guys have visits set up for the next couple of weekends. And so I think there's a possibility of one or maybe two this weekend. We'll see. I'll give you a little bit of lead on that a little bit later in the show. But for those of you that didn't know, we're going to have a shorter show today because I've got to get cleaned up and get dressed up and get on the road. We're going to have a get-together at the Itala County Library tonight, 6 p.m. You can come. If you've already bought books, you can bring them and have them personalized or signed. If you need to buy books, they're going to be there. We'll have a nice assortment of my catalog there if you'd like to come out and just kind of hang and visit for a little while. Nice little Friday night activity. Not got to get too crazy. We'll sit around, talk a little bit about sports, talk about what else I'm working on. And I've gotten tons of messages from you all, too. A few things I want to share with you. Okay, so the limited edition copies of The Dude are completely sold out. There is nothing I can do to help you in that respect. Nothing I can do. Contrary to the belief of Ole Miss Twitter, I am not a self-published author. I did kind of leverage the relationship a little bit because we had we kicked it off and said, hey, you can now order, and then the website had issues, and so there were some people that tried to get in, couldn't get in, and we were originally going to limit that to 200 limited editions of The Dude. I went back after I had several of you reach out and said, I had it in the cart, couldn't process the order. I said, can we please do 100 more? Because when we first started talking about doing this, we were doing either 300 or 400. And they initially decided to do 200, so I convinced them to do 3. So we put those out. So now they're gone. And some of you have reached out to your favorite bookstore and says, hey, I want to pre-order this book, but I want the limited edition. That is only available through the website, and all the inventory has been exhausted. Every one of those is accounted for. So we're working through that. Now, I think it's important just to kind of understand, nobody messages, me unless there's an issue, unless they're either really happy or they're kind of disappointed. But either way, we'll get you taken care of as best we can. But the only copies of The Dude that are going to be available for purchase moving forward are going to be just the regular book, the standard edition. And so I share that with you because there's some people kind of holding out hope that we're going to do that. And, it wouldn't be fair to other people. Other people wanted to get a limited edition as well, and then it was exhausted, so they went ahead and bought, a standard edition. So it wouldn't be fair to them for me all of a sudden to come back later and pop up and say, hey, well, here's another 100 after you've already spent your hard-earned dollars on getting the standard edition. So never had to deal with this before. I've never had a book that had a limited edition component to it, so it's new for me. Very honored that they thought enough of the book to do that because of the historical nature of the book. And basically all I have left to write are the acknowledgments. You say, well, Steve, that should be easy. Well, considering that in the years past, I've forgotten at least 1 or 2 names. My first book, and my oldest sister had to tell me this. My sister Kim Kennedy, who I love dearly. She should have been a model, and she was a child model for a while. It's true. Absolutely beautiful person, inside and out. Love her to death. Love her and David and her family. Amazing. And I think sometimes that some of my siblings are maybe scared to talk to me about things they may think that I'm going to get upset about. And the truth of the matter is, of all the people in the world that can talk to me without me getting upset, it's them. It's true. I love my siblings. I do. I absolutely do. And I'm so grateful that we have not had like a big beef in our family over the years. We are so blessed. And I think a lot of it's because of how we were raised, you know. But anyway, so Kim reaches out to me and she goes, hey, I don't know if you noticed, but you left somebody's name out of the family in the acknowledgments of Flim Flam. I was like, there's no way I did that. But I did. In the first printing of Flim Flam, I left out my baby sister, Reagan. To be honest, of my siblings, she may be the closest to me. So you can begin to imagine my horror when I go and look and like, oh my God, I left Reagan out. How did that happen? And so I contact her and I apologize. And I said, hey, I'm so incredibly embarrassed and so sorry because you mean so much to me. You know, it was my first book and, you know, all these people were threatening to sue me and this kind of stuff. And I made some mistakes. It's true. Never got sued though. Never got sued. But that, I did the suing. Undefeated in those cases, just so you know. But anyway, so I like to start the acknowledgments and then I go back and like read it every day and just think, hey, I need to remember so-and-so. Or this person did this. And I'll tell you, there have been a few people that have offered their research to me and I've used some of it I didn't, but I'm still grateful for the fact that they were so supportive of the book and thought enough of me to be able to say, hey, Steve, I know it's this very ambitious endeavor, so let me help you out with what I have. And again, I didn't use it all, but the fact that those people were willing to just kind of help me and point me in the right direction, you know, they've got to make the acknowledgments. And so I've got to go back and kind of listen to interviews again and things like that and check my notes. And so it is very, very important. It's easy to write, but it's also easy to forget somebody. And if your name doesn't make the book, don't take it personal. I got some friends of mine whose name won't make the book either. So part of the deal. But all that I understood, we're close, man. And I don't know, what are we at? 2.5, 3 months away? I'll give you guys the release date when I have it. But yeah, you can go ahead and pre-order. But I can tell you guys this, and I mean this with the most sincerity that I can possibly offer. And I wrote this in the, I guess it was in the preface. Honestly, I think this is probably the greatest gift that I could ever give the Mississippi State family. And I honestly believe that. And that's how I approached it. I was like, you know what? Good enough's not good enough. It's got to be perfect. And it's not going to be perfect, but that was always my goal. I am confident that I've made some mistakes somewhere along the way. I'm human. And if I have made them, hopefully we'll catch them in edits. We'll wrap those up here in the next, week to two. And then we'll push it out to typesetting, then off to print. So I would suspect probably around the beginning of September. I think that's probably the right feeling, but you never know how things are going to go. But we'll let you know. I mean, if you remember, we did Dogpile, and there was a national paper shortage, and they told me if I got the book by I think it was July 31st or something like that, August 31st. And I remember I delivered it on my dad's birthday, August 29th. I was early. I think it was actually September 15th. They said, if you can get it to us by September 15th, we can have it out in time for the holidays. And I got it to them August 29th. And they didn't get it to us until February. Yeah, so many of you gave each other a printout. And it's very frustrating for me. I mean, it is because it's beyond my control, but everybody contacts me. And not that I mind, okay? I may gripe about it to my agent and publisher, but people contact me and it's like, hey, can you find about this? And so I've got to spend some time researching all that stuff. And you guys, we're a family, so I don't want you to feel like you can't. I prefer you hit the contact us link on there. And if you don't get any satisfaction there, hit me up and I'll make a call. But yeah, it's a very special book, and I've learned an awful lot. And as I shared in the top 10 list earlier this week, some of the things that you're going to learn when you read this book. But if you are a fan of Mississippi State and you want to know kind of why the way we are, in some respects, this book's going to tell you. And it's going to lead you through some very shameful times in our history. and some very triumphant times in our history as well. And there's some very, I guess you'd say, piecemeal accounts of some historical events out there that I just decided, you know what, let's dig in deep here and tell the full backstory. Let's tell the whole story and not just the Cliff Notes version. And so it's a little over 80,000 words. That's the longest book I've ever written. And I think that you guys are going to enjoy it. So again, if you hadn't done so, go to dutynoblebook.com. Hey, let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company. I got to get in there this weekend. I do, because there are some cravings that I have that can only be satisfied. My friend Jeff Murrah, he went today. Yeah, remember him? Yeah. He went today, Jeff's my buddy, and looks like here he did not get the spring rolls. And Jeff comments to me, I figured I was already good looking enough, I didn't need the spring rolls. And he got the curds. You know, Jeff, I think you're kind of taking your own beauty into your hands, but he did get the chocolate shake to go. I don't know exactly what flavor that is, but it's kind of ignited something in me. I'm thinking I need one of those Bulldog Burger Company shakes, and I'm not going to go all the way down there and not eat a great meal. It's true. I'm going to get the shake to go. I'm not just going to go down there just for the shake, and in the summer times maybe I will do that, because sometimes I'm getting old, you know, and I need something to cool me down. And you can get those great shakes at Bulldog Burger Company. But when you go in there, you got to get spring rolls to make you and everybody around you better looking. I'm always eager to see what the specials are, to kind of see what they're testing and see what's nice, what's new. So be sure and go do that yourself. You get that great restaurant quality hamburger, you're always going to be a winner. Maybe you want a BLT salad. I like it grilled. You may like it fried, but mine always comes with the ranch no matter what we do with the chicken. It's true. And we Southerners and chickens are quite fond of one another. It's true. It's true. 3 great locations to serve you: University Drive in Stark Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Rich and Flowood area. Go by and let them know how much you enjoy them and how much you appreciate their service. That nobody really does it better. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. M-E-A-T. Okay. All right, we had the prospect camp yesterday and then 707 today. And I'll tell you guys this. It's not like the camps of 10 years ago, right? Like we'd have like Big Dog Camp, and like everybody that was committed was kind of required to come. And if you didn't come to Big Dog Camp, then that was a very negative thing. And good chance you're going to get dropped. Yeah. I've seen it happen many times. It's true. Looking back at yesterday, though, real quickly, there's a couple of guys that I want to talk about on the show. Guys, Ty Keys, not related to Ty Keys from Taylorsville. They even spell it differently. There's 2 E's in the Southern Miss, former Taylorsville quarterback. I guess he's moved on from Southern Miss too. But nevertheless, Ty Keys of Poplarville, that's where PRC is, Pearl River Community College. Ty Keys is a dude, an absolute dude. And I'll be honest with you, I thought he was the best player regardless of position in camp on Thursday. He can really, really go. He can really go. Super excited about him. Parker Pritchett, offensive lineman, 2026 guy to Georgia, probably be a national level recruit. Roman Womack was there too. Touched on this a little bit yesterday in the Bones. And here's my concern about Roman. Roman, of course, the son of Pork Chop Womack, and Chop was here in town. Roman is a big, massive offensive tackle prospect. He absolutely is. But I think he's probably going to need a year or 2 in the college weight room, because I think you got to break him down and build him back up. On the high school level, he's going to be in run blocking. Oh my gosh, this guy's going to be an absolute animal. But I think that he is a guy that's probably a 2-year, and I hate to use the word project, but it's kind of a developmental thing. I think he needs to come in, spend 1 year kind of really getting in shape, big time shape, and then the next year kind of learning to play at a new weight. And then I think maybe as a redshirt sophomore, he's a guy that's probably ready to go. So it's probably like 3 years before you see meaningful snaps. He absolutely has the mass, and I think he has the mentality. Obviously, he has the bloodlines. But Mississippi State hadn't offered yet. I know a lot of people want to. There's some sentimentality involved in all of that. I think it's okay to kind of wait this thing out and kind of see how he does this season. It's incredible to see how he's changed even this year over last year. I mean, he is a very imposing individual. He is. Just got to play big. Had a chance to visit with former Bulldog great Paul Lacoste yesterday. Paul, obviously a guy that did some big things at Mississippi State, comes from a very athletic family. Got a son now, junior linebacker down at Ocean Springs, Cannon Lacoste, and got to fill the frame out a little bit, but he's got a frame to work with. Probably a name down the road, right? We'll be eager to see him, and I plan to get down there to the coast this season a couple times, and we'll go check him out. You know, our state's not that big. I mean, there are other people that would make you feel like it is, but I don't mind getting out and going, right? I really do. I like to get out and go see players in person. I don't know how you can accurately talk about players that you never see. And I don't just mean running around T-shirt and shorts and their pajamas at a camp. I mean, you got to get out and go to games. And so I plan to get down there a couple times, and I'll go probably have some maybe some seafood with Paul Lacoste, and we'll go watch Cannon play a ball game. I'm kind of eager to see kind of how he develops. Tight end Luke Hutchinson is a guy that got connections to John Cooper. I think this is probably a one tight end class, maybe two, depending on how things shake loose with the offensive line. I think we're going to take 4 offensive linemen if we can get 4 really good ones. I don't think we reach here, but if we don't take 4, I think we end up taking 2 tight ends. You know, and so you got Micah down from Madison Central. I think he's the heir apparent. But if Micah likes to go elsewhere, and he's visited Mississippi State this weekend, he's been to Arkansas and Florida already. You know, Luke is a guy that is probably a follow for now guy. His dad, Steve Hutchinson, played in the NFL for a while, and he's intriguing. He is. Jeremiah Alvis camped yesterday too. He is, and I shared this in the Bones yesterday too. To me, he is a linebacker kind of in waiting. I don't think he knows it yet, but this is a guy that's going to explode once he gets in a college weight room in a good way, right? I mean, he's like 6'1", 182 right now, but he looks heavier than that, and I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean, this is a guy that's already kind of begun to fill out his frame, but I think once he gets in a college weight room, you know, he's going to be 200 plus and could potentially be 210, 215. And with his build, I could see him being a linebacker. They got him listed as a corner in high school. He is absolutely not a corner. He's already outgrown that position. I think he has to be safety, and I'm kind of eager to see what he does with the ball in front of him. It's true. Brandon Jennings, your friend, future Bulldog linebacker galore, had 3 sacks in a spring game? His younger brother, Brody, on hand yesterday. I thought he was the best defensive back in camp. Absolutely amazing. And of course, Brandon and some of the guys are out there kind of gassing him up, you know. But he's from Mandarin High School. They're in Florida, in Jacksonville. He's already got a ton of offers. You need Brandon to have a good experience here. But, guys, Brody is really, really good. And one of the things that I like about him, a lot of these younger guys are kind of intimidated by the process. I think Brandon being out there probably gassed Brody up a little bit. And he wanted to put on a show for Brandon's teammates, you know, and he did. And I like guys when they have a bad rep that want to go again. You know, it's like, I got to get that out. I got to cleanse the palate and get on another rep. And that was Brody. He would go as many times as they would let him, and it never seemed like he got tired. And in this league, that's a big part of things, right? It's again, he's a junior, and that's what these camps, by and large, have been. A lot of guys that are seniors that are coming in are either camping for offers or, you know, maybe there's some questions about their game, and so you get them in, you work them out, and kind of figure out where they fit positionally. But we saw. Hey, Bulldog fans, let's just be honest about it. Just go ahead and put it on the line. Mississippi State folks and boots just go together. That's why I'm so proud to partner with Tecovas Boots. In every pair of Tecovas boots, you can expect handmade quality, first wear comfort, and timeless Western style. A great pair of Western boots will elevate a casual look or add a refined flair that'll draw both eyes and compliments. Tecovas boots are always made from premium bovine and exotic leathers, and with occasional resoling, they will last a lifetime. The best way to shop for boots is at your local Tecovas store. I recently went into the one
They're in Rogers, Arkansas. It is absolutely fabulous. You'll be greeted by the smell of fresh leather and a friendly smile. Come on in, grab a cold one, get fitted by a pro, and shop the latest styles. Tecovas offers custom branding, leather stamping. If you want to personalize your boots or all your fine leather goods, as spring makes its way into summer, stay cool in a short sleeve, moisture-wicking pearl snap, or make your own shade with one of their classic straw hats. New in both women's and men's styles. Visit Tecovas, that's TECOVAS.com. And don't go gently, y'all. Just don't do it.
Some really good underclassmen. We did. Now, today, a much different deal today because you had all these kids in from, from 1A to 3A. But I guess I'll tell you this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over the camp in detail. But I'll share with you this. Camario Taylor, every time that I see him, not just throw, but anytime I'm within his circle of influence at that moment, right? I can hear what he's saying, how he carries himself. I'm impressed every time. And they were struggling a little bit at times today, but you never saw Camario get angry. He's the leader, right? And so people are going to look to him to see how to act. I thought he handled himself well when maybe there was a ball that was a little bit off target, or perhaps a guy didn't make a catch, rather than scream and shout and get on the sidelines and cause a commotion. He's over there tapping people on the back, saying, hey, let's go. Let's get the next one. Let's get the next one. And so there is a maturity with him on the field that I think is really lacking in a lot of high school quarterbacks. There is some polish and presence with Camario Taylor that doesn't show up on film. And one of the things that I've learned about, and this is, again, one of the reasons you go to games and you go to things like this, is anybody can be the front runner, right? Anybody can control their emotions when their team is winning and winning big. It goes back to the old adage, it's just a game and, unless your team's winning, right? It's funny how that works. But I want to know, how does a young man handle adversity? How does he act on the sidelines or in the huddle whenever there is adversity, when things are not going their way? I go back to Jaden Wiley, who I saw just yesterday, and hoping for big things from him this year, right? But I remember watching Jaden Wiley down at D'Iberville play against Picayune, and Picayune was an outstanding team that year. And Picayune ran all over D'Iberville. I mean, they just absolutely lined up and got in that unbalanced line and just ran them out of the stadium. And as the game started getting away from them, Justin and Jaden Wiley, rather than go out there and throw a fit and that sort of stuff, they're walking up and down the sidelines, tapping people on the helmet and say, okay, offense, let's go. Let's go. It's like, let's go put one in the end zone. Those are the kind of kids you win with. Now, I don't want people that ever get comfortable losing, right? I want to see people that are going to respond, though. Because it's not just about this game, it's the next game. And if we go out there and lay down in this one, we'll lay down in the next one. Because you start chipping away. Let's say you go out there and you put one in the end zone before halftime, and you get to open the kick, and all of a sudden it's a tight ball game again. You got to maintain focus, got to maintain your composure. I see a lot of that in Camario. I really do. And I thought today was good because the game that I saw them play against Tuscaloosa Hillcrest, they didn't have a great game. But you didn't see a lot of that rah-rah and yeah stuff, right? There were a couple of guys on the sidelines who you're trying to, come on, guys, pick it up, But it wasn't any of this nonsense that you expect. And that's one thing I love about sports, too. There's a lot of things about sports that help young people become young men and women. It's kind of the bridge way in many respects to adulthood. Who else is going to teach them sometimes, right? And I share that with as much love as possible. And I have so much respect for our high school coaches of all sports because I have been one before. And I understand, for many of you coaches, you may be the most positive role model in a student athlete's life. It's true. I wish it wasn't the case, but it's true. And I'm glad that they have you, right? And when I look at Camario Taylor, obviously comes from a great family. Comes from a community that's used to winning. And then look out there and you see this guy that has this presence and this calming demeanor on the field. Because when the quarterback gets all riled up, the rest of the team gets riled up. And that's not always a good thing, right? You need to have the quarterback to be the calming presence in the huddle. There is a lot of that with Camario. You can tell. Does he like to lose? Absolutely not. But I think he also understands in order to win, he's got to control his emotions. You play with passion, not with emotion. Completely different things. The more that I see this young man, the more that I interact with him, the better that I feel about Mississippi State having him committed. He's got his official visit set up now. He's locked in with the Bulldogs. Yeah, we need some good things to happen. And I really thought by now we probably would have a couple more commitments. But the thing that I have learned after coaching changes, there are some coaches that do, they do some public relations. They go out and they commit a bunch of guys that may be G5 guys because they'll commit because they want to get their name in the paper. And it's like, hey, we got 6, 7, 8 commitments. You need to act fast or you're going to miss the train. Don't miss the bus. You remember when Ed Orgeron got to Ole Miss? That was a big thing. And then all of a sudden they dropped most of those kids. And the ones they kept, most of them couldn't play. And Ed's not the only one, obviously. I mean, Ed Orgeron, we talk about Ed being a great recruiter, and he was. Much different. And even when he left Ole Miss, I mean, he didn't leave the cupboard bare. But a lot of that is like, hey, you jump out there and you get all these kids committed, and you're like, hey, man, we're killing it in recruiting because most fans are ignorant when it comes to the level of talent that's available in recruiting. And then there are some people out there in my industry, they fall in love with who they think their school's going to get. I try not to do that, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you, we've had some guys in the past, and I'm not going to run their names down. I mean, I've been very cool about some of those commitments. And some of them end up getting dropped, and some other ones end up coming here and not playing. It's rare to get surprised by that. It truly is. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you a guy's good just because he's coming to Mississippi State. I mean, I'm hoping that he develops. I don't want to have to come back and say I told you so. But the reality of it is this, if you're the other kind of coach, which to be honest with you, I prefer, rather than go out there and play with people's lives and get guys committed that you're not going to take just to create some urgency, I think it's a bad way to do things. I get the sense there's a lot of patience right now. There's no panic. And again, you got visits this weekend. Again, by the end of the month, I think probably close to doubling the commitment list. But even if we're not, the bottom line is we're not going to go beat Alabama and Georgia head-to-head for an out-of-state kid based on what we have right now. You say, but Steve, no. Until these kids see us on the field and they see what this offense is going to look like, and I don't mean in a spring game, when they see you go beat somebody and really beat somebody, there's a lot of people just waiting for you to give them a reason to say yes. But they're not going to say yes until they see the proofs in the pudding. And people are like, well, just getting far behind in recruiting. Not really. I mean, we don't want to take commitments just to take commitments. There's probably going to be, maybe 18, 19 at most high school kids in this class. We're going to have to get some guys from the portal, and hopefully we won't be nearly as reliant on the portal in this cycle as we were in the last one. Of course, we had to flip the roster. And we may not be done doing that. So it may take us another cycle to kind of get to a point that we feel like we've got a good nucleus of players so we're not so reliant on the portal. But, we're going to save some spots for the portal. We absolutely are. And so when you're not taking a full class of high school players, you need to be careful who you're going to take and who you offer in-state. Because when you offer an in-state kid and they want to commit and you won't let them, that shuts your door up there for a couple of years. It's true. It's absolutely true. And so I just encourage you, kind of hang loose here. Again, I think we'll pick up a couple commitments, and 1 or 2 this weekend, maybe 1 or 2 next weekend. You're like, okay, we're starting to get a little momentum here. But it's not like we're going to go fill up this class with high school players before we play our first game. And so I share that with you because I think it's important for us to kind of understand the context. If you're Jeff Lebby and you're trying to establish relationships in Mississippi, many of which you already have, but not as a head coach, the last thing you can afford to do is go fill up with a bunch of kids that you're not completely sure about that you have to drop before signing day. And everybody's going to be like, you know what, I don't want my guy going to play for that coach. Because even if it's not Lebby's decision, Lebby's the one that's going to get the blame for it. Maybe you have an over-aggressive position coach out there that's telling a coach, hey, we're going to take him, we're going to take him, we're going to take him, and you don't. It happens. But I'm okay with where we are. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And as we discussed on Wednesday's show, it's not a great in-state crop. And so you got to win some out-of-state battles. You got to go over into somebody else's backyard. You're going to have to win a couple things, and then you're going to have some games under your belt in order to do that. I think it's going to be a group that we probably get half filled before we get into the late visits. I think there'll be a flurry of commitments postseason. But we're not going to go out there and just take a bunch of kids. Just take some kids, just so some insecure fans can feel a little bit better. Fans don't even know how to evaluate tape. It's like, oh, we got 10 commitments. Okay, now I can relax. Yeah, with half a dozen of them can't play. And that's a problem that you have with recruiting, right? Is that some people think, oh, well, they're leaving us behind, or this school's doing that, and this school's doing that. And we've lost a couple battles that we hope to win in the end. But the reality of it is this, is that there is a plan in place that not all of us are privy to. And it's important to understand that, it's about how you look on signing day, not how you look on June the 15th. There's plenty of time to get all this figured out. And the last thing that you can do that's going to be helpful is to take guys early that you're not completely sold on your own evaluation. You take guys that you like, that fits your culture and your system, and you build a program around that. All right, time for today's top 10 list. As always, brought to you by closewithblair.com. That's CLOSE with Blair, BLAIR.com. Blair is our friend in the mortgage industry. It's true. It can be a complicated process. So you need somebody that has been there, that understands, that knows how to structure loans, that gives you the best chance with underwriting, and will also be your advocate with underwriting, because sometimes there's a bit of a fight. It's a true story. I've been on the other end of this thing, as a loan originator. All of a sudden you get all your pins back, and it's like, oh, we got to do this, got to clear this and that, and it's a million things. And sometimes they're not really necessary. And so you need somebody, number one, that can avoid getting a bunch of pins. You want to get approved as submitted as often as you can. There's a good chance of that happening with Blair Chandler. It's true. Give Blair a text or call today at 601-500-2344. Again, 601-500-2344. 23 years of experience. So whether you're looking for a game day condo, which may be more affordable than you think, because Blair can come up with a plan to kind of shift some things around to maybe lower your debt-to-income ratio. Or maybe you're looking to buy a home for the first time. Maybe you're in a situation where you're having a life reset, right? I mean, maybe a relationship ends, maybe a job ends, maybe you've had to move closer to home to be with family. I don't know. But if you're looking for a home, look no further than Blair Chandler at Close with Blair. He can help you get pre-approved too. You want to see a very motivated real estate agent, and we've got some great ones in this state. A lot of them are Bulldogs. You get that pre-qualification letter, they're going to get you in a home sooner rather than later. It's true. Don't waste your time or their time just kind of going around looking at things that may be beyond your means. Get pre-qualified. Blair can take care of that for you. Again, that's closewithblair.com. All right. It's funny, I just got a text from the wife. It's a busy day for us, and I got to head down we met to Kosciuszko for that event at the Italic Library at 6. But we got some beef brisket last night, made some sandwiches. They were delightful. And I told her, I said, hey, let's save this stuff up. I'll eat it for lunch again tomorrow. And so I get done making my sandwich, and I realize there's enough left for one more sandwich. I was like, hey, babe, listen, I'm sure I'll eat in Kosciuszko. I'm going to save the rest of this for you. You can have a sandwich when you get home. Well, she hearted that message. The message before that, I had sent her actually one of the songs on our top 10 list today. And then I said, hey, I'm so glad I'm married to you. That message didn't get a heart. The message about sandwiches did. And so I send back, sandwiches greater than true love? Question mark. And she comes back and says, I love you more. Well, I heart that message because that's how I'm built. Sandwiches are not. I can make my own sandwiches. It's not a requirement to love me to make my sandwiches. It's not. perfectly capable of making my sandwiches, but when she makes them, I don't know why, but they just taste a little bit better. It's true. It's true. Maybe it's the love and appreciation that goes into said sandwich, but it wouldn't kill her to heart the hallmark message and not just the nourishment message. I'm just saying. No, she and I have a good time with that kind of stuff. We do. But anyway, I mentioned that I sent her one of the songs on our list today. It's actually number 8, and I'm going to speak about that song in some detail. But we're doing top rock one-hit wonders of the 2000s. I know you guys love the one-hit wonders. You love the covers. But this is the one-hit wonders. Now, some of these, I could argue, maybe are not technically one-hit wonders. But according to Billboard, they are. I don't know if it's fair. But our number 10 song kind of really borders more on adult contemporary than rock. But I wanted to work this young lady in because I think she's very talented. I think she's a great songwriter, and I don't know that maybe she has the audience that perhaps she deserves. And I think we could also probably make the argument that she really wasn't or isn't, a one-hit wonder. But that understood, according to Billboard, she is. And we're talking Liz Phair. And Elizabeth Clark Phair. And I've been single for a little while, too, it looks like. I mean, technically single. But, she came out in the 90s, kind of disappeared for a while, and then hit the Billboard 100 with a great song called Why Can't I? And it's basically about, in some respects, kind of some forbidden love. You just can't sit around and go through life with a normal pace, right? You know how it is. I mean, like, you're always caught up in all that stuff, and you get in your feels. It's true. All right, number 9, a band called American Hi-Fi. They were kind of like poking fun a little bit at the 80s metal scene, and they were kind of one of these pop punk bands. I mean, they're basically Green Day with a little more talent, and just didn't have the same booking agent, I guess. But it's a song called Flavor of the Week, and it reminds me, I told you guys before, back in the day, some of my friends called me Baskin Robbins because it was Flavor of the Month. These guys obviously a little more prolific than I was. So Flavor of the Week, and it's kind of about a girl that is out there kind of monkey branching, you know what I mean? You know that you understand that reference when I say monkey branching? It's like you hang on to one limb until you reach the other. You're kind of hanging on to both. It's kind of like relationships, right? So you're in this one until you feel like you've got solid footing in the next one, and then you let it go. So you go from one relationship to the next. That is probably a phrase that has not been truly embraced by our generation, monkey branching for relationships. But there you go. You didn't think you were going to learn that today. Let's spread that around. But no more monkey branching. Let's only use it in figurative text. All right, number 8, this is a song I sent to the bride today. You may remember years ago, we've talked about this song on the show before, but you may have forgotten. VH1 had this great reality series called Bands on the Run. I loved it. I watched every episode, and sometimes when I got a little time, I'll just kind of pull it up and watch it again. Maybe watch an episode on YouTube. But the band that won Bands on the Run should have won it. I didn't think there was any question. They had more of a commercial sound. They had a great look. They had a great image. And Harlow was a band that was part of that thing, too. I just didn't think they were quite talented enough. But a band called Flicker Stick won VH1's Bands on the Run. And they released a great album called Welcoming Home the Astronauts that I have. And the single from that is a track called Beautiful. I absolutely love that song. I love the guitar riff that opens up with. The bass line is infectious. Brandon's vocals really good too. So Beautiful from Flicker Stick, number 8. And if you're looking for maybe something different to listen to, put that album on. You'll be glad you did it. Okay, number 7. I wasn't a huge fan of this song, but I'll tell you this. Lately, they have done this kind of reimagined version on TikTok. And I see a lot of young ladies and even middle-aged ladies that are using this song with their reels, their videos, whatever you want to call it. I'm middle-aged, so the terminology changes regularly and nobody notifies me. But it's a song called The Middle from Jimmy Eat World. A lot of people think, hey, that's such a great song. And I think maybe we were so caught up in the college basketball pep band version of this song, we didn't really realize how profound the lyrics that a song really are. There's a lot of those songs when you slow them down and you begin to realize, you know what, this thing may seem completely different than I interpreted it to be. This is one of them, The Middle from Jimmy Eat World. Shout out to Bill Martin, former Mississippi State Media Relations Director. He loved that album, and I said that said more about him than it did Jimmy Eat World, but a lot of people will tell you, hey, that was a really good album. I disagree, but the song The Middle was very catchy and peppy and really caught on. But it's kind of gotten new life here as of late, as people have kind of slowed it down. You know, it's okay, don't count yourself off yet. You know, it's good. Number 6, another song that was part of a TikTok trend. People said, hey, do you want to see my teenage dirtbag photos? And I'll be honest with you, many of those teenage dirtbag photos were not teenage dirtbag photos. It's true. Many of them like kind of goth or whatever. But it's a song called Wheatus and Iron Maiden reference. We're not going to be ashamed for listening to Iron Maiden, though. Not by Wheatus or anybody else. Nobody will ever make us feel ashamed for listening to Iron Maiden. As a matter of fact, I don't know that I could be friends with somebody that doesn't listen to Iron Maiden. You don't respect Bruce Dickinson, and I don't mean the legendary record producer that needs more cowbell. You know, I got a killer's tattoo on my arm, man. I mean, Iron Maiden is like the pinnacle. It's what everybody wants to be. There are political candidates around the world that would love to draw the same crowds that Iron Maiden does. And so, all that I understood, Wheatus is Teenage Dirtbag number 6. Number 5, a song that gets played at Duty Noble Field from time to time. And I'm not quite sure why I like it, but it doesn't really fit our motif, I guess you could say. And a lot of people, too, of course, there's a lot of this, trying to be politically correct in how I say it. There's a lot of attraction in older women. And I say older women, women of my age, because I'm old, right? I'm from the 1900s. But women are more beautiful today than they have ever been in the history of mankind. There are more women working out. There are more women that are dressing nicer. There are women that take a lot more pride in their appearance. I'm just kind of saying it for what it is. And so a lot of people think, hey, I'd like to have an older woman. And way back in the early 2000s, the great song Stacy's Mom from Fountains of Wayne came out. The Fountains of Wayne ran out of juice fairly quickly, but Stacy's Mom is a song that endears. Number 4, along the same lines and around the same time, great track about a middle-aged mom that life's gotten to be a little bit too much for her, and it's the classic from Bowling for Soup. It's 1985, back when music made a lot more sense. There was a lot more performance value in music back then. I'm just going to tell you, you know. The bands are better. It is what it is. You can say what you want to, but you'd be wrong. The instrumentation and the composition of music back before the rise of the robots that kind of took over the music industry was better in the 80s. It just was. There's a reason that those bands, and I don't just mean on the rock side, I mean just all in general, there's a reason that those artists are still considered iconic. It's because they were really talented. Number 3, and this one maybe you guys don't like as much as some of, like, I would say 6, 5, and 4. Everybody knows those songs. This is one maybe you don't know quite as well, but it's around the same era, 2001. I dig it though, man. And this band, again, really a one-hit wonder, but it's a song called Right Now, SR71. She may not be Miss Right, but she'll do right now. At some point, we've all felt that way. But the guitar on it's pretty cool. But it is kind of radio pop punk. It is. There was a lot of that in the early 2000s. A bunch of that. Maybe that's why I didn't hang around. Number 2, another band that I think you could make an argument that it really not a one-hit wonder, but according to Billboard, they were. They got in a bunch of trouble on Twitter, too, because of their political beliefs. And it's amazing in a tolerant society in which we are supposed to be living in these days that there is no tolerance for other people's beliefs. It's like, hey, unless you have some, alternate belief, it's like, so if it came out today, okay, They're going to be a group of people who are going to go out and we're going to worship pine cones. There will be some people that would come out and say, you know what, hey, you can't judge them for how they believe. Those people have a right to worship those pine cones. Matter of fact, I may start worshiping some pine cones too, because that seems like, a cool thing to do. And so all of a sudden, because I'm in the minority view when it comes to religion, it's like, well, I got to respect that. But then somebody else comes out and says, well, this is what I've always done. I've always gone to First Baptist Church. How dare you? How dare you? Here's the thing for me. I don't know how you guys live your life. I am a live and let live person. You don't tread on me, I won't tread on you. But if you do, I'm going to bring the full value of everything that I have to protect myself, my value, my family, my businesses, whatever. But there are a lot of people out there that are like, hey, if you don't believe the way that I do, then you have to be wrong. And here's the thing that we have to kind of open the door to. There's a good chance we're all wrong about something. It's true. And I just think the best thing to do is to love people where they are and to be the best person you can possibly be and live by a moral code of such. And give people room to be themselves. There are some things that I believed in my 20s I don't believe today. And there are things that I believe today that 21-year-old Steve probably would be upset with me about. It's true. The more you age and mature, your values begin to change a little bit. Because when I was in college, man, I was one of these kind of people. I was intent on just saving and changing the world. And I didn't care if I had to be the only one standing, right? I remember being at Jones County Junior College. And Ray Mabus came to speak, and I've got a picture of this. And basically, I kind of called Governor Mabus on the carpet in front of the entire student body at an assembly about why should we choose to stay in Mississippi when there are better paying jobs out of the state of Mississippi? Why should we invest our time and careers for less money in the state of Mississippi? And I got a standing ovation from the folks at Jones. And I say that because I think it's important to understand that I didn't fully understand cost of living and all the things that go along with all that stuff. There's just, again, you live and learn. But the number 2 song is Headstrong by Trapped. And again, you can go out there and find a lot of people that are really upset with them about their political views. And they've been a little bit over the top with it. Number 1, though, really kind of a flashback to the 80s in image and in style and falsetto. We're talking the number 1 track, I Believe in a Thing Called Love, from The Darkness. I absolutely love this. I hear people get up and sing at karaoke, even though they can't nail it. It's still great. I love this song. I love the video. There's so much about it that I think is absolutely outstanding. That's your number 1 song, I Believe in a Thing Called Love by The Darkness. I probably should dig a little bit deeper in our catalog just to see if there's any unearthed gems in there. If you have ideas for the top 10 list, reach out, let us know. Best way to do that is to hit up Roy on Twitter or X, whatever you're calling it these days, at Dogmatic67, DAWGMATIC 67. You can find our great list on Spotify under that same handle. Thanks as always to Roy for his tireless efforts to bring something of value to the Boneyard listener. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. Man, I love Campus Bookmart. I have for a long, long time. Nobody serves this fan base better when it comes to Mississippi State merchandise better than Campus Bookmart. They're names you know. They're people you can trust. They're people that rise and fall just like you do with the success of Mississippi State athletics. They know what's important to you, whether you're detailing out your fan cave, your office. Maybe you got some gifts to buy, some housewarming gifts. Nothing's better than letting everybody know that you're welcome with the Mississippi State welcome mat or something like that. Maybe some door chimes. I don't know what your style is, but I know that you want some maroon and white involved in it. It's true. And nobody has a better selection of Mississippi State merchandise than Campus Bookmart. Miss Kathy Brown does an amazing job keeping that store outfitted with the Mississippi State merch you love and you need to love. If you can't make it to town or see their smiling faces, visit them on the World Wide Web at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays. It's BSR. That stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on orders all over $75. Any order less than 75 bones, absolutely incomplete. And Mom, Father's Day is coming up. Maybe you've waited late. and he's gonna smile and be appreciative of whatever you got him on behalf of the kids. But he really wanted that new Mississippi State polo. He did. Yeah, maybe he even wanted a True Rest float. You can do that too. Call 662-268-7601 and you can get the Father's Day package. Cool. All right, let's see. Let's talk a little baseball here. As we record the show, Virginia leading late against North Carolina 2-1. And then in the nightcap, it'll be Florida State and Tennessee. I think this Virginia team, again, is built for Omaha because of their offensive prowess. And you can say, but Steve, we've only scored a couple runs. I just think line drives wins in Omaha. Home runs are harder to come by up there. And listen, I get it. Years ago, the wind was blowing out. But it's a little different dynamic. The wind doesn't blow out as much during the summer months. But all that understood, I think Virginia in this side of the bracket's got a really good chance. Eager to see Tennessee and Florida State tonight. I like Tennessee in that ball game. So I think, as of now, the winner's bracket game will probably be Tennessee and Virginia with North Carolina and Florida State going head-to-head, which means an ACC team will likely be eliminated first. It's true. Tennessee, the only SEC team in that side of the bracket. And then we get into tomorrow's games. There's some other baseball stuff too, a little more about Mississippi State. But NC State and Kentucky. A lot of people have asked me, Steve, who are you pulling for? I'm pulling for Kentucky and Nick Mingione. Kentucky and NC State, though, that could be a great game. And that's two very mentally tough teams. And in Florida and A&M in the nightcap, I think this Florida team can be dangerous. And I'm eager to see what A&M looks like in this tournament without Braden Montgomery. And again, wish him the absolute best as we get into that. So, but that's where we are. I'm excited about it even though we're not playing. I love college baseball, love the College World Series, and I'd like to see the SEC win another one. Yeah, I don't feel the same way about SEC stuff in baseball that I do in football. Football, it's like I want everybody to get to a ball game so we get a bigger check, but I don't care if anybody wins in football once we get in postseason. I don't care at all. I really don't. Unless they win the national championship, and I think it makes the league look better. It gives more prestige, helps us in recruiting. Baseball-wise, a different scenario. I do kind of pull for the SEC teams because of the fact, again, I think it makes our league look better since we have won a national championship and say, hey, you come to the SEC. The SEC dominates the College World Series, dominates the list of national champions the last several years. You come here, you've got a better chance of winning a national championship than anywhere else. We can't boast that in football. We just can't. But anyway, so a lot of people interested in the portal. I'll tell you this, we're being careful what information we're putting out for a lot of reasons. I won't get into all that. But yeah, you've had some portal visitors this week. You're going to have some this weekend. You're going to have some next week. Staff's working really hard for you. And one of the things that I've learned about this, like here's a good example. At Mississippi State, and this is, even though I think that we set the standard over genespage.com, the Mississippi State baseball beat gets covered as closely or probably more closely than any school in the country. And that's really a testament to everybody on the beat. Let's just kind of say it for what it is. Baseball is important to our fans. You guys could read about baseball all year round. We love football and basketball too, but baseball has been the primary sport. And some people hate to hear that because maybe they don't like baseball and they think maybe we spend too much money on baseball. My honest opinion, I don't think we spend enough, to be honest with you. But those are my feelings. I'm not to say that I'm right or you're wrong. But all that I understood, there's some misinformation that gets out there at times, and it's like, oh, well, so-and-so said that we were after this, this pitcher from, Buck Tussle Tech. And then all of a sudden the kid commits to, Army or something, or East Carolina. People are like, oh, how did we lose this guy? I'm just going to tell you, maybe we didn't offer him, and in that case we didn't. Maybe we didn't offer a visit. Maybe we called the kid and he wasn't interested. Maybe he already had his mind made up. Maybe even before he went in the portal. And so there are some people out there that are really kind of anti-Lamonas that will jump on these make-believe scenarios, and then all of a sudden it paints a different narrative. It's like, we're struggling in the portal when really nothing could be further from the truth. And we've got to July 2nd to know who all is going to be in the portal, and there's still a lot of rumors out there about certain players going in. This time last year, we were here, Braden Montgomery was going to go in, and there are people like, oh, no. Then like 2 days before the deadline, he goes in. And so you're going to have a lot of guys that their seasons are going to end, if they haven't already, and they're going to get up into Cape, and they're going to be hanging around other guys and say, you know what, I think I'm going to go in the portal. And we've got to be mindful of that. There are some really good names in the portal now. There's some other big names that will go in later. So we don't need to come out of the gate, just go commit a bunch of guys just to get a bunch of guys. Kind of like we talk about in football. We got to get guys that matter. We have 2 right now, and ran into a couple of your players yesterday. They're really excited about the future at Mississippi State. And, we got a good class coming in, but let's just be honest about it. You can't expect first-year players to come in here and carry you. I mean, there's not a bunch of, Grahovics out there, right, like at A&M. And many people's list the National Freshman of the Year. Those guys are few and far between. We've had some freshmen who've come in here and did some good work for us, but even as great as Justin Bosque and Jordan Westberg were, they had to play as freshmen in 2018. And by the time we got to Omaha, that they had become players that we could kind of count on. But you simply cannot expect to get a team to Omaha when you're having to play a lot of freshmen. 18 was really kind of an anomaly for us. It really was. That was a very special team that had some true leadership on it. And you also had some future big leaguers on that team that were just kind of beginning to come into their own. And I remember people thinking after 17, what are we going to do without Brent Rooker? Well, we're going to go to Omaha, guys. That's what we're going to do, And so we didn't always have the portal. Ron Polk and I talked about this when we were at Virginia. After it was all said and done, he goes, when I had players leave, I didn't have the portal to rely on. We had to recruit from the high school and junior college ranks and then develop guys. It's a different dynamic. And so you can get well pretty quickly. And so I share that with you because there's a lot going on that maybe we're not privy to yet, or more to the point, maybe you're not privy to it. I don't know everything, but I know more than most. And I'm just going to share with you, I'm encouraged, but at the same time, too, I'm not going to get caught up in this Paul Skeens, Braden Montgomery thing. Again, not going to do it. I'm going to share with you what I hear. And I know we were once a break last year, Braden Montgomery wasn't coming. And there were always some people out there kind of rumored to be involved that was going to try to keep him close to his trainer at Houston. We heard a lot of conflicting reports about him, and it was pretty obvious that he wasn't going to come. We put it out there because I didn't want you guys to be blindsided when he ultimately committed to Texas A&M. But I'm not going to get it here and start, wishing on a star this guy's coming, that guy's coming. We're just going to work through the process, and as we learn about guys that are coming, we're going to share that with you. But I'm not going to sit out here and paint some narrative that all the best players in the country want to come to Mississippi State. I think they should, but they're not going to agree with that. It doesn't matter how much we've won historically and the fact that we won this year. There are a lot of players out there that NIL is going to be a bigger factor to them than maybe you realize. There are going to be some out there that maybe it's about a graduate program. Maybe it's about going to play with a buddy. Maybe it's about getting closer to home. It's not always about Duty Noble Field. It's not always about the mystique of the M/S. And so it's important to understand that. And so what I'm doing my best to do is to give you quality information once I feel confident about that information. I'm not going to give you the rumors. I'm not going to give you speculation. It's a much different dynamic on baseball recruiting. It is. It just is. And so keep in touch with us over at Gene's page. You should be a member, but if you're not, our commitment stuff is always free. And we do our best to get a hold of guys in every sport when they transfer. And some of these transfer guys just don't want to deal with media. I mean, it's just the reality of it. But we've been very fortunate on the football and the baseball side the last couple of years to be able to get these guys on the phone and give them a chance to kind of introduce themselves to you. I like the 2 players that we have so far. I do. We probably need 5 to 6 more. I expect one of them to be a first baseman. I think another one will be an outfielder. And then you start working through the rest of it. We're going to have 3 to 4 arms, right? And so if you begin to factor in, let's say you got a third baseman, you've got a utility guy, you get a first baseman, you get an outfielder. Well, those are 4 guys right there that should make you better every day in the starting 9. But you've got to get a couple of weekend guys, and you probably need to get a closer. And then maybe you use one as the best available, whether that be for an arm or a guy that's willing to come. I don't know. Do you need a backup catcher? Do you? Maybe you do. I'm a Ross Highfield fan, and so I think Ross is going to be just fine, but Ross can't catch every game. Steven Spalletta is a guy that we got late, and, there's always those guys out there, too, as we get closer to enrollment. There's one or two guys every year that have some value that end up either one reason or another. Maybe there's some academic money involved that doesn't come through, or maybe there's a recruiting promise that isn't kept, and guys ask out of their letter of intent. And so we've got to be mindful of that, too. And so I'm eager to kind of see how things progress here. Do we take another catcher? Do we? I don't know. This year, I think we kind of got by. And like the Joe Powell thing, I don't know if that's going to be pursued or not. I don't know what Joe's plans are. I think it's really up to Joe, But if Joe's going to leave and go to fire school or whatever, or EMT school, and kind of get on with his life, and who knows, he may get a free agent contract to go play some pro ball somewhere. Don't know. But I know that Mississippi State, you feel good about Ross Highfield. You know what Ross can do, but based on what we've seen, you might need a depth piece there. But Ross is your starter. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Ross was more talented than the guys that we played this year because we had to. And that's not a slight at those guys. There's a reason that we went out and got him. It's because our best catcher wasn't available. It wasn't that Ross wasn't performing. Ross got hurt, But I began to think about, Dylan Cupp coming back, and he's already made some social media postings. There was some concern, towards the end of the year. Would Dylan be back? I never heard those from Dylan, though. I heard those from, just other people, kind of some chatter, and not even within the baseball offices. Just kind of fans that may have some type of connection or affiliation said, I don't know if he's coming back, but he is. He's coming back, and that's great for Mississippi State. And, again, if Dave Mershon doesn't get what he wants in the draft, and, again, if he doesn't get what he wants, he's not going to get drafted high, right? They're not going to draft a guy in the top 10 rounds that hadn't pretty much already agreed to terms. That's how things work in this new abbreviated 20-round draft. It's not like it was years ago where they would draft anybody and then throw as much money at them as they could. It's a different dynamic. And so, but all of a sudden, if you start thinking, okay, even if Mercy doesn't come back, and we certainly hope he does, he's kind of, he's been the spark plug for this team. But you look at what you've done already, with Reeves and, and Garrick Fry. I mean, Garrick obviously will play third, but, Cupp is going to play short. If Merce comes back, he may go to second. He could play some at short. Cupp could play some at second. But to be honest with you, I think Cupp is the better defensive shortstop, and that says a lot, right? Merce filled so many of those high grounders hit right at him. I think Cupp's got a little more range. And again, Merce is great. That's a great option to have. Hey, we're going to play Dave Mershon, who's a pro prospect at short, or Dylan Cupp, who's a pro prospect at short. Right? We've come a long way in recent years. But let's say you get both of those guys back, your middle infield is solid, and you feel good about Ross. And then, of course, we talk about Dante Nori, a guy that I think is probably a day one starter, whether it be in center or in left. Could even potentially be in right. He's toolsy, man. He's a five-tool guy. He could play right. He's a smaller version of Dakota Jordan. Truly is. And so when you begin to think about that, hey, it's one guy, in your everyday starting lineup, it's a freshman. You could be one of the more veteran teams in this conference. And so, but again, we got to put the pieces together. And so I shared that with you because I think that it's important to kind of understand there's a way to do things and a way not to. And people say, but Steve, I don't understand football recruiting. You guys do updates every day. And, full scholarship sports, it's a much different dynamic. There's baseball, it's like, hey, we can offer you 33%. Oh, well, so-and-so's giving me 50. It's not as simple as every offer is not the same. And so the more it gets out there, because a lot of these college kids don't want to talk either. These college baseball guys, like you go look at the guys even in high school. I've interviewed these guys, and a lot of them don't even want to tell you all their offers. I think a lot of it's just respect, because it is sometimes a very complicated and convoluted process. But it's not like it is in football and basketball. It's just not. It doesn't matter who the coach is. Even when John Cohen was here, I mean, they were not excited about us going out there and trying to interview official visit prospects and things like that because all it does is shine a light on them. Then they took a visit to Mississippi State. We need to up our offer. It's just a different dynamic, and it's difficult to explain at times, but I've done my best. But we're going to do things the way that we think is right and in the best interest of Mississippi State. Now, if we learn something independently, that on the recruiting side or whatever, in any sport, we're going to do our best to go out there and report that. But the reality of it is we're not going to do things to the detriment of Mississippi State. All right, final segment of the show brought to you by the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. The Stark Vegas Clubhouse, the best place to stay in the Golden Triangle when you're bringing a large group to town. Whether you're coming for a ball game weekend or maybe a staycation, it's a chance to reconnect with friends and family. It's better to have everybody under one roof. You can sit up late, you can watch Netflix together, and you can visit and talk and have some popcorn, get up in the morning and have breakfast together. Maybe you want an adult beverage. They've got the wet bar there. You can stock the full-service kitchen. You can cook all your meals right then and there. You can take turns cooking. Hey, it's our family's night this night, the next night's yours, whatever. You can do whatever you want, within reason, of course. Just 5 minutes away from the Mississippi State campus, 5 bedrooms, 2 bath, that great back porch area. You can really stretch out there. It's a place that you can just kind of unwind and watch a sunset. Got that fire pit area out there. Every conversation is more meaningful around a fire. I can't explain why that is. It just is. It certainly is. And we all did that as kids, too. As teenagers, we'd gather around a bonfire or whatever and just kind of sit and talk. Very relaxing conversation. Because it's better than renting 5 hotel rooms, right? Because then all of a sudden you don't know where Bob and Karen are, and so-and-so had to go back to the room. They weren't feeling well. And then Bob's night's ruined, right? Because he can't be with the rest of the group. He feels torn. How much better would it be if everybody could just stay under one roof? It's a great idea. And I would recommend, too, this summer, maybe you're not going to take a big vacation this year. Maybe let's everybody pitch in together, and we'll get a big weekend at the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. And everybody can just meet up there and kind of get there at their leisure or whatever, and then we can all be together. Wouldn't that be great? It absolutely would be. What are you waiting for? Google Stark Vegas Clubhouse, and you can see all the fine amenities that are available to you there on their Facebook page. You can also find some booking options. You can book through Airbnb or VRBO. Maybe you've got a credit with them and you want to do that. However, if you don't, I've got a promo code for you through the Evolve website. That's promo code BSR. 10. BSR 10. The number 10. That gets you 10% off your stay. Just by listening to the show, you're saving money. But what could be better than getting all your college friends together or all of your siblings together, your parents, aunts, uncles, whatever, and have everybody just kind of meet together. And maybe the only agenda is just being together, right? This summer, that's a great opportunity. I would encourage you to feel that kids are out of school, and maybe you can even do a midweek thing, right? Because kids are so busy during the weekends. It's like, hey, let's just go book this thing and stay for a couple nights midweek. Get everybody together. Dad can take off a couple days. He can. He's earned it. Mom can too. Again, the Stark Vegas Clubhouse, the best place to stay in the Golden Triangle. All right, in the minutes we have left, I want to kind of update you on some things. Justin Frommer attended basketball camp today. We'll have full coverage there. Rion and I did football camp today. We had everybody doing football camp yesterday. So a lot of coverage out there already from camp. And then tomorrow we'll have some other things that'll kind of get out there. A lot of that content is free, but some of it is behind the paywall, so you need to be a member of genespage.com to be a part of that. I can tell you nobody's covered camp more extensively than us. Absolutely, without any question. Nobody's covered it more extensively than us. And we're not going to hold those stories for 2 or 3 weeks. And and now that the fact that I'm done writing a book, for the most part, we're going to be on the recruiting grind and kind of working up some features every single day. So we'll do some updates on some kids that are already committed in multiple sports, but also to kind of bring you up to date on these official visitors and kind of what's next for them and what's next for Mississippi State. And then once you get through next weekend, right around 23rd, 24th, then everybody have a chance at Mississippi State to kind of take a bit of a break. Everybody have a chance to kind of get away with their families and then right back to it as fall camp is here. It's nuts to start thinking about we're under 80 days. Yeah, we're under 80 days before football season starts. We went over the schedule on our last show, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to come to town this year and enjoy college football. Of course, when we don't have the elongated baseball season, summer seems to drag on just a little bit. I'm sure once we get into, about a month from now, get into mid-July, we're going to be like, we're so eager to have some news. But by that time, we feel like the baseball portal stuff will be finished. And, of course, we're watching it closely on a daily basis. And the baseball portal closes on July the 2nd. And, Jace Norton just went in, which means 5 players now outgoing. And we wish Jace and his family the absolute best. I don't harbor any ill will towards anybody that transfers out because, again, a short time in life to play sports. Before we get out of here, I do want to report I had so many people that reached out about the MJ Daniels thing, and so many people feel the same way that you and I do about how sad that whole thing is. And a young man, obviously, that had his life taken long before it should have happened. And there have been 3 teenage suspects that have been arrested and charged with capital murder. And before I get into this, I want to tell you this. My heart goes out to every family involved in this because there are so many lives that are going to be changed forever because of this incident. Now, just kind of connecting some dots here, it appears that this trio of teenagers tried to steal MJ Daniels' car, and in the middle of that carjacking, he was shot and killed. It's so incredibly senseless. Orlando May of Hattiesburg, 18 years of age, has been charged with 1 count of capital murder, 1 count of attempted armed carjacking, 1 count of felony eluding that ran from the police, and 2 counts of grand larceny auto. Don't know all the details behind those charges, but I know that those are all very serious. Alan Marcus Gardner, 17, of Houston, Texas, 1 count of capital murder, 1 count of attempted armed carjacking. Samir Green, 16, of Hattiesburg, 1 count of capital murder, 1 count of attempted carjacking. I don't know who the trigger man was, but of course the felony murder doctrine applies here. Statement from the Hattiesburg Police Department. As the investigation is ongoing, Hattiesburg Police continue to ask for the public's help in providing any pertinent information related to the case. Police began their investigation late Tuesday night after responding to a situation at the Ivy Row housing complex on Ivy Row Circle, and that's just blocks away from M.M. Roberts Stadium. I mean, it's crazy. Forest County Coroner Lisa Clem later confirmed Daniels was shot and killed. Daniels, a Lucedale native and George County High School standout, played his first season with the Golden Eagles last fall after transferring from the University of Mississippi. If you have information that may be beneficial to police, you can contact the detectives at 601-545-4971, or if you would like not to be identified, you can submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers at 601-582-7867. That's 582-STOP, 601-582-STOP. We want justice for this family. We do, and I think we all agree. We have so many things that happen in life that are difficult to explain, but something like this, there's an explanation for this. There's no justification for it, but you absolutely understand what's happened now. And that was the thing. I was so eager. Again, we've had several interactions with MJ over the years, and I know that he went to Ole Miss. It means nothing to me. This is a young man that we all cared about, and this is a young man that we fully expected him to have a great college career. And though it's been, maybe hasn't been exactly what many had projected it to be, he had a really good year at Southern Miss last year. He was poised for an even bigger year this year. And now there's a ton of people that are grieving. And, it makes me think back when Billy Joe got killed, another George County superstar. Of course, he got killed in high school. He was considered one of the best running backs in the country. And that community down there, our friends in Lucedale have had a lot to mourn in their football family in recent years. And so our hearts go out to you. And I've heard from a couple of his teachers, former teachers at George County. They've thanked me for my comments. I'm not making them again. I'm just, for that reason. I just want everybody involved to know that you're not alone. And I speak on behalf of everybody, the Boneyard family, all the Boneyard listeners, and I suspect just about every Mississippi State fan out there, that we want to see this family get a measure of justice. And people talk about closure. There really is no closure. It's a myth in many respects. It's one thing, when you break up with your girlfriend and you find out why, and everybody can eventually kind of maturely move on. These are the kind of things that stay with you for a lifetime. They do. They stay with you for a lifetime. And it's difficult to wrap your mind around it. It's like, I wish I had done this, or we should have done this, or MJ should have done that, or whatever, It just sounds like a very random act of violence. You had some teenagers out there that wanted his car. And it's so easy to say, well, you know what? He should have let him have the car. Maybe he tried to. Maybe he knew one of the kids. We don't know. Maybe it was a neighbor. I don't know anything about any of those details. But I know this young man shouldn't have died. He shouldn't have died. And everybody involved needs to be held completely accountable. And, there was a time in life that they didn't identify juvenile offenders, but these young men are being charged as adults, as they should be. And so we'll be following the case closely. It's not like we're going to have regular updates on the show or anything. But my hope is that we get, a fairly quick resolution, for this family. Because, I've had some friends that have been murdered. And that's difficult to talk about at times. And I know the toll that it takes on the family. I remember a friend of mine, I won't mention a name, but a friend of mine was killed by 3 men down in Louisiana. And eventually they tried to determine that it was an accident despite the testimony of witnesses. And so I know that family never got any justice. They just got a funeral. And the people that were responsible for his death were never arrested. They were questioned. They were never arrested or brought to trial. And his father died rather young. And I know a lot of it probably had to do with all of that. And so I share that because it's important to humanize these stories. There was a young friend of ours, so young she was my age, when I first got sober. Matter of fact, I had a decision to make one day. I couldn't decide who to ask out, Dana or this other young lady. And decided to go out with Dana, which is obviously a great decision, right? Ask her out. But this other young lady dated one of my friends, and we were in a band together. And unfortunately, she didn't stay sober. And she got killed. And there's a lot more to it that I don't want to share. But, her killer is on death row. And some of my friends back in South Mississippi said that you could ride by their house and you could see her dad regularly with his head and shoulders and arms laid on top of the hood of her Jeep. And she'd been gone for several years, and they kept the Jeep. They kept it as a reminder of her. And I guess whenever he missed her, he went out there and poured his grief on the hood of that Jeep. And the killer was originally sentenced to death, and they've changed that since then. You don't want my opinion about that, but nevertheless, I just share that because there are so many people out there that have a loved one that is taken from them. At some point, we all lose somebody. It's a natural part of living. But to have someone taken from you over something like this is a very difficult thing to live with. And so it's going to be tough enough as it is, but the good thing is that they have made some quick arrests. You don't have to be looking over your shoulder. You don't have to wonder, things like that. At least you hope not. And so I am rooting for the district attorney's office here. I hope that they have the right suspects in hand, and the fact that they made the arrest as quickly as they did would certainly suggest that's probably the case. But MJ Daniels was one of us. Even though he played at Ole Miss and Southern Miss, MJ Daniels was a Mississippian. MJ Daniels was a young man with a dream. And it's been taken from him and his family. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to each and every one of them. I mentioned earlier in the show, if you're looking for last-minute Father's Day gifts, you can go to TrueRest.com. Follow us on social media, True Rest of Starkville, on Facebook and Instagram. But if you got information that you need, you got questions, you can call 662-268-7601. or you can download the True Rest app and book an appointment today. And, of course, my wife's a registered nurse, if you can answer your questions. But running a Father's Day special right now. I've tweeted it out. I had a typo in the tweet. I don't care. I don't care. I don't know how you guys feel. I don't care. Not that big a deal. It's completely okay to make mistakes. I make more than I would like to, but that's the real deal, right? But here's the special for those of you that are unaware. If I can get to it. A lot of tweets today because we had a lot of content today. But yeah, you can get 3 floats for $139. If you're a member, you can get 3 for $119. It's a package, and again, for more information, dial 662-268-7601. You have stressed out your dad enough. Give him a 3 days of relaxation. Here's the thing too: is he has 3 floats to deal with. He may bring you or bring mom too. Make it a float night for everybody. Again, I've said this more times than I can count. It's probably done more for my anxiety than anything in my life. More than therapy, more than medication. Just having a chance to let my mind reset a little bit has been an amazing thing. And if you got aches and pains, maybe we can help you. Maybe it'll be as beneficial to you as it is to me. I make no guarantees. There are no guarantees in life. But I can tell you this: if nothing else, kind of get an hour to yourself is typically a very good thing. Hey, you guys have a great weekend, and we'll be back with you on Monday. We should be on schedule next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I can't imagine anything will jump out there, but, Monday kind of got away from me. But reminder, too, if you hadn't done so, you can pre-order the biography of Duty Noble at dutynoblebook.com. And this weekend, I'll just kind of finish up some, things here and there, and then we'll spend about, a week, 2 weeks working on edits and got to collect some pictures and things like that. We got a good collection already, but I'm very proud of the work, and I appreciate your support. And many people have said, "Hey, Steve, I need to get caught up anyway." And so, if you want to get the other sports titles, you can get those through the Duty Noble Book website. Flim Flam, Stark Villains, Alpha Dogs, Dogpile, all available through the same URL, the same website. And I encourage you, get caught up. I'm going to keep stacking these books on you. I told you guys that a couple years ago, and it's true. And I'm already a little sad thinking this is all over with. And so, what am I going to do next? And a lot of people have a lot of suggestions, but I got to figure out what makes sense for me, what I'm passionate about. I cannot believe how this Duty Noble book thing kind of came together. I never thought in a million years I'd be sitting in a house in Batesville with 2 of Duty Noble's nieces looking at his M Club sweater. It's nuts. And you'll get a chance to do that that's similar thing too. Maybe not in their house, but we're going to have an exhibition. As we get a little bit closer, I'll give you guys more details. I'm going to get out of here. I got to get a quick shower, and then we're going to head to Kosciuszko. And for those of you that are coming out, looking forward to seeing you at the Attala County Library tonight at 6 p.m. You guys have a great weekend. Until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.